Science.
Science. C'est tout?
Oui.
Oh,
What is
English.
it?
It's a way to understand the world, but it's not the only one. Unfortunately, it took a lot of space. I think too much space. Science has almost taken like some kind of privilege or dominance in the idea of explaining. But then when it comes to the big questions that we have, science has failed and will fail because it's a method, if you want, with its limits.
But you began with science, from science to art, right?
Yeah, so I hope I know what I talk about.
Yeah, but it looks like in your work, science is very present.
Actually, my work is against science. I'm using like a scientific, how can I say, like a démarche, how do you say that in English, like a starting point, but often just to turn it around and to make it very unscientific or poetic and try to reach the infinity or to get to the point where science is lost.
Yeah, but in this show, what is striking is that everything begins with science.
Yes, yes and no. Like my first work, which is in the show, is not. I was a scientist then, so like it's the only work I made while I was a scientist. I don't think it's scientific at all. It's actually two emergency sign lights from 1987 I made that are pointing towards each other and are mounted in such a way that if people would run away because there would be an emergency, they would crash into each other.
Dream.
Well, dream, because like what I said about science, one of the things that science has been failed spectacularly in terms of explanation is consciousness. Consciousness has been like under very severe scrutiny from science. Scientists have been trying to explain it, but all they have come up with is that there might be like a few 100,000 neurons or something in a certain part of the brain, and they're firing at a certain frequency, and frequency is also like a big topic in the show, which is connected to a certain state of the mind, but it doesn't explain consciousness. So dreams are interesting because from the moment that you fall asleep, consciousness is gone. So it's your life behind consciousness. And then when you wake up again, you're conscious again. So dreams happen, as we all know, in the unconscious. And this is the part when we are not human beings anymore, but something else.
But why dreams would not be part of the human being?
Well, what we defined as the human being now, I'm referring to what I said before in terms of science, like the rational, explicatory, intentional. There we become maybe what we really are. So consciousness, I often think, consciousness that's the opposite of dreams, cannot be or should not be explained, because if we would be able to explain it, it would be a terribly dangerous thing.
Light.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Why?
So I don't want to live in complete darkness, even though sometimes I feel I do.
But you are playing with light.
Yes, I actually, like quite a few works in the show have to do with the consistency of light and its predictability. So like today is a sunny day, and we don't see the sun right now, but the sun, we know, goes up, it goes down, it's very predictable. It changes a bit through the year, but basically it's the same thing. So what we are doing here with some of the work is that we change its consistency and its predictability. So we take half of the light away. We make it into a state of not in between darkness and light, but an on-off thing, like a certain flickering, a frequency. And then light becomes very interesting, because then light is actually interacting with your brain waves, which are also at a certain frequency, and are producing states of the mind that are entirely a result of this frequency. So I subject light here in this exhibition to a frequency, and I take away from light its consistency, being it natural light or artificial light.
Frequencies.
So music, for instance, is a frequency. We like frequencies because we know that they affect us. But we use it mainly in acoustic terms. We don't use it very much in terms of light. So here I use different frequencies. One is the 7.8 Hertz, which I find very productive in terms of inducing hallucinations, even as an acoustic phenomenon, but mainly as a light that goes like this. And the other is another frequency, which is called the phi phenomenon, which has been discovered. It's like an illusion of jumping light, and it's an interesting illusion because it makes you see things before they really happen. So it's almost a way of looking into the future. But in order to understand what I mean, you should see the work I talk about.
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion, yeah, it's an illusion. You see like a jumping dot. But the thing is, how can you see a jumping dot if you don't know which dot is going to be lit on next? So the dot is already jumping to the point where it will be lit, but you have no idea of knowing where it is because it's completely random. So this is a reduced reality app, because in contrast to augmented reality, this is reducing reality by making it half, so to say. It takes half of the frequency, half of what you see away. It's also 7.8 Hertz, so you can use it for filming and everything, but it also has the torchlight.
But is it your app?
Yes, we just made it. And it is also haptic, so give me your hand and touch the phone. You see, my phone is also like vibrating at the same time. I'm not sure.
This is scary.
It's very good for the phone, but it's very nice to use, especially in a dark space with other people. It's called 7.8, and it really is a reduced reality app that you can download.
Reduced?
Reduced.
Everyone want to augment, and yes. You reduce. In French, we say émerveillement when the magic happens. Is it something important for you in the art?
Yeah, I think so, because my approach is with many of these works here, also in the show, but also in general, that I'm not the one who makes the magic happen. It makes the magic happen and somehow translate it into an artwork, and then show the artwork in order to let the magic then get out of the artwork again into the spectator. I don't think this is an approach that I find very interesting. I find it more interesting to prepare the ground for a situation that is unusual enough that, depending on who you are and in what kind of state of being you are right now, you might experience something quite extraordinary, which is not possible without my intervention.
What is your next dream?
I actually don't like dreams. I think dreams are like excrements. They're like going to the toilet in some way. It's like all the stuff that you don't want to have in your head, you shit it out at night, and that's what you call dreams. So, it's a necessary thing to do.
Because you want to be in control?
No, I just think like dreams have been bothering me much more than they have been like rewarding. If I would, make a pro and contra list, I would say like many of the dreams I just find extremely bothering. I mainly have nightmares.
Yeah, but it's also something unexplored, full of freedom.
Yeah, but
it can be, I mean.
Since you're not conscious when you're dreaming, there's nothing you can do with this really. It's like it's just like in Germany we have a beautiful expression, it's like Ballast abwerfen. It's like when you're on a balloon and the balloon doesn't have enough gas anymore, it's sinking, you have to throw off things. And that's what you do when you drink.
Merci, monsieur.